Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Liam Thurman, who's the CEO of Babe Ruth Bucket System for Agents. Liam, welcome to the program.
Hey, Mike, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing really good, and I'm excited to talk with you about what you do in serving the industry, but I always like to start off with finding out a little bit of your story. What is your background, and how did you get into the financial services industry?
Well, the funny thing is, I almost didn't. I mean, I was in the health spa business, and I was training, people. I just got out of the army, and I was, just got married and got my first kid, and would be coming soon enough. And so we were, I was just working out in the gym, and some Bob Urey, I'll never forget his name, and he said, "Hey, how much you making?" I said, "I make about," and I was a good spa guy. I was doing 7 new members a day, so I wasn't doing hateful. So back then. And the early '90s, I was making about $750 every 2 weeks. That was big money,
Yeah.
Hell, I was making $750 in the army just just a month. So that was
Yeah.
I doubled my money when I got out. So he was like, "Well, how would you like to make that every week?" And I said, "Well, show me what to do." And so, long story short, I got into it, and then we got training, got my license, and get all that stuff going. And I remember my first sale that I got to go do by myself. I went out and talked to a family, and I still remember this because a lot of times you remember things that were painful or that were life changing, and this was a little bit of both. And I remember Eugene and Doris Cade on Nicholas Road, Dayton, Ohio. I'll never forget it. I went in and I was trying to talk to Eugene about buying a policy, and back then $50,000 was a lot of money, and he had a $5,000 policy, and I. Long story short, he didn't buy it. And he said, "Listen, I used to be in your business, maybe some other time." And, his wife was all sold. They had 3 little boys, and it just didn't work out. So, it's all right. I was taught early that every no means I'm getting closer to a yes. So I didn't have a problem with it. And I was a great salesman in the health spa business. I knew it would take, no big deal. So a couple weeks go by and I'm watching the news, and it said, man from Dayton dies at Bengals game with heart attack. I didn't pay much attention to it, but the next day I get a phone call. It's Eugene Cade. He passed away, died at the Bengals game. His wife called me and said, "Hey, I need you to come out and get the death certificate on us." And so all of a sudden I started realizing that this business isn't just about pens and TV sets and going on a vacation trip paid for. It's a little more powerful than that. So it really hit me hard. I mean, I'm 22, 23 years old. I can't do this. I didn't do this family justice, So I went to deliver the $5,000 check, and I walked by the house, and the house was already up for sale, and because she didn't work, and the cars were all 2 or 3 of the cars were up for sale, and a lot of people were there mourning. And I took her to the back room, and I said, "Here's your check." And I said, "I really want to apologize that I didn't do my job." And I said, and I kind of had tears in my eyes, and I said, "This ain't for me." I said, "You're going to get a new agent, and I'm sorry, but I can't do this." And she said, she grabbed my hand and she looked at me and she said, "You know what?" She goes, "Eugene told me that he almost bought. He's in the same business for years that you were in, and she said he almost got him." She goes, "It wasn't you. He just didn't want to do it." She goes, "And here's what's going to happen. You're going to go out to your car and get your satchel, and you're going to come in here and you're going to write everybody in this house. And if you don't deliver those policies, I'm going to cancel them, and you can have that on your heart." And so I went out and I came back in, wrote 20, 25 policies, delivered them all, and it changed my whole outlook. I mean, she could have easily said, "No, you're right. You didn't do me justice, and now look what I have to do." And she could have, really let me have it, but she didn't. And so it's what didn't happen that made me who I became. And I'll tell you another little quick story that. When I first got into business, I was 6 months behind everybody else, right? And that incident happened 2 weeks into my career. So I just got on fire, right? No one had ever made the trip half the time. Well, I made the trip. We're going to Bahamas and everything. And so at that time, I was getting married. And when I got married, I had my boss, of course, because I'm making him a ton of money, came to the wedding, but the 45 agents in the office never showed up. Well, it hurt my
Hmm.
heart, right? And so when I got back from the trip and everything, J.R. Swallows, a manager that was there, veteran in the business. I worked in the debit business when I started, so you had your own book of business, and it wasn't too hard. And so he took me out to lunch, and he said, you know why only one person came to your wedding? I said, no. He goes, well, because you're a jerk, man. He said, "No one's ever done what you've done. No one's ever been done the volume of sales. The record for $1,000 commission was 13 weeks. I did 97 weeks in a row." He said,
Mm.
"Nobody does that. It's unheard of." He said, "But here's what you can do." He said, "Now listen, if you help people in this office, the old Ziegler thing, right? You help other people, you get plenty of what you want." So what I did the very next year, the entire office, but one guy that was sick, made the next trip to Mexico because of me. And we were the number one company in the country. We were the number two. I mean, all kinds of stuff changed. Well, I had a daughter that year, and 43 of the 46 people came to the hospital to wish me happy
Wow.
feelings for my daughter. So in one year, I went from being the big villain to being the guy that understood it and got it. Now, the problem with this industry is we don't do enough of that. Like, I love the John Naylor method. When we first started working for him, as I got bigger in my career, I got to work with bigger hitters. And I always say on the shoulders of giants, right? And Naylor would have a system where if I made $5 million, I sold 5 million in annuities or whatever a year, and you sold 20, and I called you on the phone to ask you for help, and you didn't help me, I didn't get fired, you did. And so
Mm.
I've always lived by that. When I tell agents that I work with, or I tell people that are trying to be trying to scale, never forget to help the guy. The only time you ever look back is when you're lifting somebody up. Yes,
100%.
so that's
Reminds
kind
me
of
of the Bob Berg book called The Go Giver. Have you ever read that book before?
I'm writing it down now.
Yep, the Go Giver, Bob Berg, Burg. It's kind of a play on words of like, oh, he's a real go getter. No, if you twist it around, he's a real go giver. If he gives and serves and provides value before even asking for anything, that mentality and mindset is such a change that colleagues and strategic alliances and clients and prospects sense it. And that's exactly what you described. If you're reaching back to give a hand up, if you're helping the team get to a goal, not just you, if you are doing what's best for that customer, you become a go giver and that value is recognized.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that's what you're looking for. But that's kind of where I got how I got where I am.
Yeah. So, what do you find are some key drivers for success? Because you've had a long and illustrious career, and I'm sure you can point back to some pillars that hey, if I'm going to give that hand up to some newer agents, here are some key things that really you need to keep in mind to succeed. What are some of those that you identify?
I think you have to work smarter, not harder. I mean, I learned, a lot of people know my condition, some people don't, but back in 16, I was diagnosed with frontal lobe dementia. So I didn't realize years before that I'd met another gentleman that was given a heart condition, and he could only do one appointment a week, yet he was still doing $20 million in sales every year. And I remember
Wow.
going to lunch with him and asking him, he said, "Listen, son, there's going to come a day when you got to learn to work smarter, not harder." And so what he would do is he'd get the greatest 5 appointments he could get, and he'd dwindle it down to one that he knew would be his biggest catch. And so when I got sick and when the things happened to me, I had to change and alter my business, become a consultant because I couldn't sign apps anymore, and then I had to make some different decisions. But I tell people, I said, it didn't stop me from having the fire and having the commitment and the consistency that I wanted to have and train agents. But I tell agents that one of the things you have to do by working smarter, is you got to learn what can I do, and I became a lover of seminar selling.
Mm.
I would when people come to my office, it's so funny. They look at my American Equity plaques. I was American Eagle and all that. I love Noble was awesome. I had a great relationship with him, and I remember when people come to my office, they would see on my wall 798,000 annuity sales, 545, 245, 300, and they're like, "Man, those are killer years." I said, go back and read the plaque. That was for the month."
Oh my.
Yeah, and I still have those out just because people say, "What have you ever done?" Well, I did 10 million, I think, straight for 10 years. I was 25. I never signed up for it, but I was easily qualifier of the table, but I didn't know all that crap. It wasn't important
Yeah.
to me, but I have the numbers to show it and all that. And so sometimes people want to see, how did you do that and all that. But what I tell people was, here's how I did it, and I still do it today. And I tell people, if I can see 35 people in a room in an hour, how long would that take me to go knock on doors, right? I mean,
Yep.
that would take forever. Yes. And so I would do a seminar at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, and I would do one at 6 o'clock. And so I would do that, 4 times a week, two on Tuesday, two on Thursday. And I'd take the next week and I wouldn't have any seminars because I was closing everybody. And people say, well, how did you do that? I said, well, it's like I do today. Like if I do a seminar, I tell them up front, listen, I'm doing a seminar tonight at 12 o'clock, and I'm going to be doing some more seminars, and you need to get me on your calendar. If you don't do that, it's a good chance we're not going to meet. So if you don't have your calendar, just go ahead and set an appointment. And I know some of you, when I call you, you're going to say, hey, I've got a doctor's appointment. And I say, well, give me that number. I'll call him and cancel that and get that rescheduled for you. They laugh, And I
Yeah.
say, listen, I said, I've got, if you came here for a reason, there's 3 reasons why people come to a seminar. They come because they need help, they want a second opinion, or they just want to eat. And I would have people leave my room before I started. I said, how many of you here just came to eat? And I'd raise my hand because I would get them to raise their hand, the ones that were really there. And so 3 of them would raise their hand. I said, well, you need to leave the room. I'm going to pay for your meal, but you're not going to waste my time, and I'm not going to waste yours. Is that fair? And they would get up and they would leave. And so people say, I can't believe you did that. I said, well, that's not all I did. I would call people the night before and I would say, listen, Mike, I understand you're coming to my seminar. I got 3 quick questions for you. Do you have any food allergies? Well, I don't give a crap if he's got food allergies. I'm trying to get him to talk to me. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have any food allergies. I'm going to have the steak. Oh, okay. But your people already called me, and they get mad because they've been called 3 times already. But I pull that over and roll it over by saying, listen, I like to meet everybody's coming to see me. I'm the author of the book. Oh, you're the guy that's doing the seminar. They love that, Yeah, I'm the guy. I like to call everybody, and I want to make sure that you're going to have a good time. I'm going to have a good time. So no food allergies. Let me ask you another question, Mike. Do you have an advisor? Well, yeah, my buddy, he's been taking care of me for 20 years. Is there any money, Mike, that he's dealing with you that you would put with me if I had a better idea? Well, no, I'm going to do everything with him. Well, here's what we're going to do, Mike. I'm going to put down that you're not really kind of guy that should probably come to my seminar, and I won't send you any more flyers, and we'll be good. How's that, Mike? Well, I think you're right. Okay. And so, or you might say, well, no, I have some money. And that's when you need to have your notepad and pencil. And he says, I got 50,000 that I wouldn't put with him because he's got everything else. But I think maybe you had an idea. Well, I'm writing that down. So I know when Mike Saunders comes in my room, boom, right? And then the other question I ask him, are you on a fixed income? Do you own your own house? I kind of tie that together. Well, yeah, I'm on Social Security. Well, there's a good chance they're not going to have any money to invest. And I just blatantly ask him, do you own your house? Well, no, I live in public housing. Well, Bob, let me do this. I do this, Mike. I'll send you a coupon for the dinner. Okay. But I really don't think there's any investment needs here unless you have it in here. I mean, I go into it, right? It's more a lot longer. But when you find out, you have to qualify. People say, well, you went from 35 to 12 people in your meeting. Yep, that's what I normally do. I cut it in half. If I got 35 booked, 12 will show up. But 12 will show up too. You know what I'm saying? And then
yes,
what do I have in my room? Do I have plate lickers or do I have buyers?
You've got well qualified prospects that actually, my opinion, would be respecting the fact that you took the time to do a little bit of that conversation ahead of the time.
Yeah, and because people don't realize, they say, well, like I tell people when I go out and do seminars for agents and stuff, I charge a flat fee. I charge $5,000 for the week. My wife said I give it away. They pay for my expenses. I'm there Tuesday to Thursday. I leave on Sunday. I come on Monday. I show them how to qualify. I do all that stuff. But what I do is I tell them, listen, I'm guaranteeing you 1 sale on Tuesday and 1 sale on Thursday. And I only do 2 seminars. I had to do 1 at 6 and 1 at 6. I don't do the 12 and 6 anymore. It just wears me out. But I do the 6 and 6, and I promise them 1 sale. And they say, well, we're going to have 22 people, 30 people for the week. You're only promised me 2 sales. Yeah, it's all I'm going to guarantee. Will we get more? Probably so. But I'm promising you that. And then so when I go in there and on Tuesday night, I say, we're doing a seminar for you, Mike. And I tell your people, I say, listen, I'm leaving on Sunday. So if you want to see me, you got to see me Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. You better get in the calendar because they want to see the guy speaking. They want to see the guy that wrote the book. Yes.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
It creates a sense of urgency as well.
Yeah. And so the same thing happens Thursday night. So before I leave on Sunday, they've got all these sales. Now, most of the time I don't split the business. And there's 2 reasons why. You've already 5,000 or whatever we agreed on, plus my expenses, my flight and everything, it's a fair week for me. I probably could get more, but in again, it depends on the circumstance. But the reason why I quit splitting the business is, I have an agency, I can do that, but is because, and I hate to say this, Mike, but if I leave, I would say 75% of the agents, they'll say, well, we were talking to Miss Smith, we had a great interview, but she decided she didn't want to do it. How am I going to track that? And people say,
Yep.
oh, people don't do that in this business. The heck they don't. They do it all the time. So if I tell you, listen, you can have all the business, I'm just going to come in and do all the work for you. I'll just leave and go to the next guy and help him out. They seem to like that. It seems to work. There's no dishonesty. Everybody wins. Yes?
Exactly. And it's well laid out and clear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to worry about that. Now, if they need me to help consult, we can say, okay, listen, but let's say we run into something really big, and they say, I'm going to have to really have some help here. Okay, well, I can either put my design team on it. Now they got to get paid, and we make a deal with them, and we just negotiate that. And this might be on individual deals, but that's a little bit different because then they have to turn over all the information. And I'm not saying every agent does that, but I would say the majority sometimes does it, and all you need is one, and you get a bad taste in your mouth. Yes.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Great point. Let's kind of shift over to something with other ways you serve your advisors. We said at the beginning that you have the Babe Ruth bucket system for agents. What is that, and how does that benefit financial advisors?
Well, the Babe Ruth bucket system is on our Facebook page, and you're going to show people how to get there. We got about 7,600 agents on there now that I train on pretty much a weekly basis. We do lives, we do advertisements. We're advertising Tom Hegna's big thing in Vegas, and I'll be a guest speaker there. And we do stuff like, McKnight's doing some stuff. And when you do stuff, we put stuff out for Mike Saunders. Just kind of a networking thing for everybody that wants to scale. It's kind of like that. And we're trying to, I've only had the group for 6 months. I just got it, and we're trying to massage it and make some neat things happen with it. But the best thing I can say is it teaches you not only how to network, but how to use not just my system, but other people's systems. And maybe you don't like the Babe Ruth bucket system. Babe Ruth bucket system is the seminar thing I just talked about. It's about possibly writing your book under our brand, the Babe Ruth bucket, and instead of, a lot of people like to do books with maybe with Tom or some other people, and I'm okay with that. But I'm big on business card books where they don't have to be a bestseller. They just have to be a book designed on what your niche is. And let me give you an example. Like all of the Babe Ruth buckets books are like Babe Ruth bucket Misintrusive of, and like my first one was Misintrusive Tax-Free Retirement. I got one of the agents that he bought our program, and he's doing his own book, and it's called Babe Ruth Bucket Misintrusive of Special Needs Planning, and it's got his name underneath it. I do the forward, and I put my Babe Ruth bucket thing, what Babe did in the retirement. The rest of the book, he puts whatever he wants on special needs, and he's got his own business card book. There you go. And so that's part of what we do as well. That's taking off really good because people understand that, not everybody's going to have a bestseller. Not everybody has the money to go out and hire all this other stuff. You can do a Chat GTP book with that because it is considered a business card book, and it's a lot simpler to do, a lot quicker to do. And all you're doing is putting your information, what you individually do. And I think that's going to be huge. And I know we've talked about it, and it's really a cool thing that we put together with the system.
Yep, 100%. And I think that another huge piece to that, and I know that you're a big believer in masterminds, but masterminds and community are really, really powerful, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that we have different packages for different people that can afford different things. And I tell people the biggest mistake I made in my early part of my career was I didn't spend enough money on me. I spent a lot of money on other people, and what I mean by that is some guy would sell his thing and I'd go buy his thing, and I'm like, okay. And I would think, okay, but I when I learned to go to masterminds and go to seminars, and when the pandemic took a lot of that out of the way, where you couldn't have the one-on-ones, you couldn't have the personal stuff. I mean, I get it. It helped us with webinars. It helped us with what we're doing like today. But I still like the personal connection. I still like going out and seeing the people and talking to the guys. And, we just got back from Puerto Rico with Tom Hegna and Jeremiah. And, that was really, really nice. And it was great. And me and Tom connected. So we're doing something in Vegas with Jeremiah. And then hopefully we're going on to Nashville and some other things. But I tell people that the great thing about the mastermind is you get 10, 15 people in a room. and they all have, the first thing you do is you talk about what's working. What are you doing that is successful? And everybody has something different, and nobody's got the same time. And then you say, what do you need help with? And you got 15 people plus the 2 mastermind guys that brought you there that are going to help you solve some issues that maybe you know, that's why you came, right? And I would be surprised that all the guys that I met, I know all of them did videos too, thanking Tom and all that. And I wouldn't promote that if I didn't believe in it, but everybody got something out of it. I know I enjoyed it. And I think, you know, sometimes they're 2,500, 5,000. I think the most I've ever seen is 10 or 15, but you know, those packages are different. You know, we do 5, a 10, a 15, and a 25, but they all come with different things. Like the 25, you get four master classes, you get a master class a month on virtual, you get the book program, you know, where you write your own book with the brand. I mean, there's a lot of stuff for that 25, right? Or the guy says, "Hey, I can't do that. What can I do?" You know, like some of the stuff that you do. You know, you probably, it's not. I'm not trying to, you know, plug you necessarily, but I liked how your packages go. You know, if some guy doesn't have a lot of money, you can do the 3,500 and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's on your website. But and I tell people that it's okay to be that guy, because I start there. The objective is you want to get me to the next package, which helps you. But who else is it going to help? It's going to help me.
You know, the neat thing with a mastermind is someone comes, whether it's live or in person or virtual Zoom in person, someone is having a challenge, and then the rest of the group that are actually in the same industry, not competitors, they're coming together with some ideas and some solutions. And when everybody comes together in that mastermind from the position and mindset of abundance, then it works. As opposed to, and this is where I feel like you really agree as well, if someone's holding back going, "Oh, you're my competitor, I'm not going to give you the good stuff." No, because there is more than enough business out there for everybody times 10. So if we can approach it from the position of mindset of abundance, and we're clarifying what that person's challenge is, we're coming with the heat, coming with the goods, and we're providing value, and they leave that mastermind session, that hot seat, you know, ready to implement. And then everybody wins, because the other people that were not on the hot seat, they're learning from just that interaction, right?
Well, yeah, and you know, and one thing that Mike Drigger's my guy that helps me and mentors me, we're putting together masterminds where there are 4 days, where the first 2 days are like BC type individuals, people that maybe aren't scaling yet and maybe don't have a lot of money. So that would be a cheaper mastermind and more expensive, more inexpensive, I should say. I don't want anybody thinking that, you know, I mean, I have no problem being called cheap if it's the truth, but I'm coming because I don't want to be that guy. I want to go to the next level. And then 2 days later, we do the A guys, right? The guys that are already doing, you know, million, 10 million, 15 million, whatever, but they want to keep scaling and they want to learn more ideas. And one of the things that we did with, you know, with Tom saying was, back to what you said and your point, which is right on, is that none of these guys were from my state, number one. Number two, not one of them was doing the same marketing. One guy was doing the movie thing where you rent a theater and you show the movie. One guy was doing something on how you do, talk about whatever the client would like to know about, like reverse mortgage and how to package that in with you know, what, like, you know, like Don Graves does. And, you know, everybody had all kinds of ideas. So what was really great, and Tom said it happens all the time, they don't deliberately put it together that way. It just seems that that's how it works. But, you know, again, it was really cool because I wrote down what everybody did, and there's 4 or 5 of them that I'd never heard of. Like, I'd never heard of the movie theater thing. I said, man, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the guy does, is he rents a movie theater. And he said when he first did it, they would have 250 people, and he's helping you understand what you don't do. And he said, I couldn't get to all those people. So he cut it down to 50 people coming to the movie, and he's made 3 times the money, and he's been able to get to those people. You see what I'm saying? That's what you learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could take away one idea like that, and you talk about working smarter, not harder, like the 80-20 rule. You take away one idea and take action on it and implement it, and it could just 2x, 3x your business in the next 12 to 18 months. So I think that those are the things that so many people look at and gloss over. They don't realize the fact that there are just gold nuggets dug into each one of those opportunities.
Well, Mike, and here's something. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, and I know we'll do this again, and I know we're going to have you on our show, back on our show. But here's one of the things I tell people that are FMOs and IMOs and stuff like that. That, you know, they've gotten away from bringing guys like me in to talk. I have no skin in the game. I'm not trying to steal their agents. You know, one of the things I try to do when I speak to these organizations and I teach their people, I say, listen, I want to come in there and motivate them to go another direction, but I promise you this. let me know how many guys you have. Let me know, and we all know they're getting 10% of the people do all of the work, maybe 20 if they're lucky, right?
Yeah.
So they say, I went into Fran Tarkenton saying, with Tarkenton Financial, and his son and daughter were there, and they were there, and they said, well, what can you do for us? What can the Babe Ruth bucket system do? And again, it didn't have Fran's name on it, so that's another story. But anyway, the interview, they all go like this, and I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to double your production. How are you going to double our production? Well, me and Mike, it's pretty simple. All I got to do is get them 10 more percent participation. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah, it's
it.
not 100%. It's not 100% to double the business because of the 80-20 rule. You just focus on that 20% and double that. And then when you break it down, it's not really that much extra work.
Yeah. And I'm finding out that most of these FMOs, IMOs don't even have 20-80. It's 90-10.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so my job's even easier. That's my presentation. And then the IMO, that's all you got. I said, what else you need? You give me the 10% you want me to focus on, and I'll double what your production is. And God forbid the 10% that's already producing gets anything from me. That's just a bonus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, because it's like if it really is the 90-10, you're focusing on the 10, not focusing on all the static and distraction in the other 90. You focus on that 10 and clone them and really get that going. And now all of a sudden, maybe some of the other 90% that aren't producing, they're seeing what's going on and they get on the bandwagon, and then it just becomes momentum. So I think that you made some excellent points there, Liam. I think that's awesome. Let's go ahead and wrap up with this. If someone is listening to this thinking, I want a little bit of this power and energy and enthusiasm and support and masterminds, and tell me more about the Facebook group, what's the best way they can reach out and learn more and connect with you?
Well, if they get it, they can do the email, the liamgroup@gmail.com. That's one way they can catch us. I have no problem giving out my cell phone, 937-672-1961. Try to get that from your broker, Mike. Anyway,
Yep.
They can also catch me on my website, lcitaxfreeretirement.com. And of course, they can go to the Babe Ruth Bucket System for Agents on the Facebook group. We have two different things on there. They can join as a paid person. Right now, we kind of do everything for free, but there are some paid opportunities. If they want to be a paid member for $97, they get a whole lot more stuff. But just going to the group and just getting a flavor of it first, is a good way to see if, hey, I want to scale. And here's the thing I want to leave them with: if you want to scale, your business, sometimes, I'll just give you one little tip. You might want to change your product.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you think about scaling, doubling, and 2xing and 3xing, but in reality, maybe taking a look at your product offerings could help you with that scaling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So hopefully that helps somebody out there. Because I'm like you, keep it simple, stupid. But you know what? Unless you put it to test, you're never going to get there.
Yep. Well, I tell you, Liam, it's just been so encouraging and exciting talking with you. I love your passion for the industry, and thank you for coming on. It's been a real pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate the extra time.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.